What would y'all say is the quintessential American fly? Is it the Adams? A lot of people say it is. Or is it this guy, the Royal Coachman? Hello everybody. Welcome to Savage Flies. I'm Matt. Thank you for stopping by. So the Royal Coachman, this is one of these American traditional patterns created in the late 1800s. Started as a dry fly. It's been tied as a wet fly. I've even seen it as a streamer out there. But today I'm going to be tying it as a wet fly and even more of a variant with a bead on it. So I got this pattern from David Klausmeyer's 101 Favorite Nymphs and Wet Flies. This was published in 2014. Pretty good book if you don't have it. If you've already got his 2020 Favorite Flies, a lot of these patterns are also in that one. This bead head Royal Coachman is also in both of them. Now I've never fished this fly. I'd never even tied it till today, but it's a really cool looking pattern. I think you're going to like it. Now, one note, I think it's got a white marabou wing, and I think during the tie I called it CDC a couple times because, well, I was tying some CDC flies earlier today. I guess I had it on my brain, but I'll try to correct that. Anytime I screw up during the tie, I try to remember to put text over and say, hey, I didn't know what I was talking about right here. This is really marabou, not CDC. But anyway, it's a really cool pattern. I think it's going to be effective, and I think you're going to like it. Let's give it a shot. There you go, in the vise. The Beadhead Royal Coachman. Common sizes for this, or the only two sizes the recipe called for, were a 10 or a 12 and a 2x long wet fly hook. So bead to match the hook, which this is 2.8 millimeter. It's actually a tungsten bead, so I'm not going to put a weight down. I don't want it to be a real deep sinker, but by all means, if you want to put just a little bit of weight to keep that bead from, sliding up and down, go for it. And I'm using 70 denier. I'm going to put a little bit of a dam behind the bead. It probably won't do much good, but why not? Then take your thread to the start of the bend. Now the tail on this guy, one of my favorites of all time, golden pheasant tippet. And I'm going to get a pretty small feather. I want both bars showing and maybe a hook gap, maybe just a slight bit shorter, or maybe longer even. How about that right there? So what you do here, grab them by the tips, and then you can reach in here and just snip them without letting go of your tips. Now you pull the main part of the feather out, and hopefully your tips are still aligned. Let's check and see. Okay, they look pretty well aligned right there. So let's go ahead and catch this in. A couple of wraps should be good. Okay, got one of them flaring up right there, but you know what? I'm fine with that. So back your thread off just a little bit. Now some peacock herl. And I'm going to use 3 strands. You could get away with 1, 2 even. Snip off the brittle part and just catch this in back to where we're going to start wrapping it. Right there at the front of that tail. Okay, that's going to work. Take your thread up maybe a third of the way. This is where the back part of the body is going to end. And I'll just lick my fingers and then give this a little spin. So you can see that spin. And don't spin it too tight. They will break on you. And likewise, if you hit the point of your hook, they'll break on you. So just take your time here and build up a thick back part of the body. This part is just the same if you were doing a Royal Coachman dry fly. So I think that's probably enough right there. Back that thread off a turn or two. Now we catch it in. Now a lot of people will go ahead and cut this peacock herl off, but let's try to save a step. We'll see if it works for us. I'm going to go ahead and catch in my red. Just pull that out of the way for a second. And then catch in my red floss. Okay, that should be fine right there. Now I'm going to pull this herl forward and just leave that as part of my underbody. I don't know if I'm saving any time doing this. Probably not. But maybe, who knows. Okay, so that's about how long I want my red middle part of the body to be. So let's wrap this up here. And I'm going to go 2 layers just to get a little bit of thickness and a little bit of color. So is that Yeah, that's about as far up as I want to go. Now let's just go back one more time. Might even want to go, 2 or 3 times if you really want. Just try not to get it too lumpy, but if you do, not a big deal. So let's go back up here. Okay, I think that is about as much as I want on this body, so I'm going to catch this off with 2 wraps right here. Now snip this floss and take my thread up in front of it. So now I'm going to do the same thing. So snip that peacock curl or do what I did just then. It really doesn't matter. I don't know that I saved much time right there. Probably didn't save much. So that's going to be the front part. Don't take it all the way up to the bead because we still got 2 more components to do. 2 wraps right there should secure that. Maybe another one right there just for fun. Now, what really gives this fly its action? The white CDC. So, big tuft right here. Not a big tuft. It looks big in the camera because, I'm zoomed way in. But it's not really big at all. So I'll lick my fingers and then just kind of mat this down. Helps me tie it in. So now we got that piece right there. Kind of looks like a mallard flank for a wing. And how long do you want it? I'd say middle of the tail. Let's go about right there. Get that bead back up front. I'll take a pinch wrap and a couple more. And that's my wing. And don't worry that it's matted. This thing will fluff right back up, probably before we're even done with the fly. So try to cut that as close as you can. Well, I got a lot of fluff right there. Am I going to be able to bury that? Sure, probably so. There we go. Okay, now for the front hackle. What do we use on this? Recipe calls for English partridge. If you don't have an English partridge, just use Hungarian partridge. Just use any partridge. If you don't have that, use any brown soft hackle. So this is English partridge. It looks pretty cool right there. And I'm gonna just grab the tip and then pull some back, create a little tie-in point right there. So you see that? And catch this in with a couple wraps, not real tight. This feather isn't brittle, it's pretty pliable, but it's not real strong. So I'm gonna fold that back over, put a few more wraps right here, and leave my thread right behind the bead. Now, snip this tip off or leave it, whatever you want. I'm gonna go ahead and snip it. And I'm gonna take my hackle pliers. For this one, I don't have a lot to work with, so I'm gonna use this spring-loaded right here. And I'm probably gonna put 2 wraps, maybe 3 if I can get away with it. We'll see. So there's 1 full wrap right there. And 2, yeah, I think we can get away with 3. And we've got enough hackle on here to get us 3. So that is my 3rd one right there. Let's catch this off with, 2 wraps will be fine. Now we can snip this excess. You'll want to try and snip this as close as you can. If not, you might be contending with a little stem when you're wrapping up your head. So it's a little bit buggy, but we're going to take care of that right now. Just pull this back. A few extra wraps right here. Just kind of build that up and really lock that bead in. So I'm doing several wraps right here. Especially if you want to put a drop of head cement on it, you'll put it just the back of that bead and let it seep down over the thread wraps. So I think we're fine right there. I could put some more thread wraps on it if I wanted, but I'm not going to worry about it. I'm going to do a 4 or 5 turn whip finish right here. Snip it off, a drop of head cement, and any cleanup if I need it. But in this case, I don't think we need any cleanup. We've got enough hackle there, and you can tell that CDC is already spreading back out on me. So there you go, just one more variant of a classic American Royal Coachman. the Bead Head Royal Coachman. Pretty nifty looking pattern. I'm sure it's going to be pretty effective. So thanks for watching, everybody. Y'all take care, and we'll see you next time.